Well, hello and how are you? Hey friends, it's me again, Shenandoah Briscoe, coming to you live right here in St. Charles, Missouri. Yes, sir, home of Christmas traditions, now through December 24th, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Capture in your mind, if you will, a time in America when life was simple and Christmas was elegant and magical. Take in the scent of roasting chestnuts. Welcome to a place where Christmas past and present become one. A place where storybook characters come to life right before your very eyes. A place where the typical hustle and bustle of the holiday season melts away and allows you to enjoy the Yuletide sounds and magic of yesteryear. Yes, sir, right here in St. Charles, Missouri on Main Street. Alrighty, hey, that being said, this here is going to be blog number 295. Yes, sir, 295. That being said, what are we going to talk about today? Well, today we're going to talk about, I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about something, because, well, we got to have something to talk about, because you don't tune in to talk about nothing, or to listen to me talk about nothing. Yeah, the winter season starting to get cold outside, and well, when it starts to get cold outside, that reminds me of back when I was a kid. Yes, or sled riding and tubing and tubing. That's for sure. Not only tubing, but hood riding. Yeah, back in those days, you used to find an old car hood that you would use, like the engine compartment hood, and you'd have that flipped over on its back, and well, the best kind were off the old Packards and stuff like that, because they had that crown on them. They had the pointy front and the big wide back edges. Boy, they made great sleds. Well, I remember right down the street from us, we had a character named what was their names? Let's see. There was Ferguson's and let me think. Well, they were right next to Eberhardt's, in between the Fergusons and the Eberhardt's. Oh, what was their names? I wanted to say Eisenbach, but I know that's not it, because, well, Eisenbachs were back over on over in Powell Terrace. Let's see, what was their names? Let me think. Okay, yeah, the name was Ferguson. So, there were two Fergusons in a row, and then the Eberhardts. Anyway, that being said, they had this huge hill in their backyard, and right next to a sweet pear tree, which sweet pear trees are real small pears, but they're very, very sweet. Anyway, in the wintertime, we'd sled ride down that back hill. Well, they also had a small pond down there. Well, at one point in time, me and my neighbor Tim were getting ready to go sled riding, and we were on the tube this particular time. Well, we were tube riding down there, and we went down and we went through that pond and ramped off the other side of it. Well, when we did, it was a inner tube, so whenever it bounced up in the air, we kind of come sprawling in all directions. Whenever we landed, I landed with my arm kind of behind my back, but he landed on top of it, and then I landed on top of him, or vice versa. Either one of us was on top of the other one, but either way, we were both on top of each other because one of my arms was back behind me and he was on top of it and I was on top of him, or whatever. The way it occurred, we couldn't get up. He was like, "Get off me," and I was like, "I can't get off you. You're on me." And so we were tied up in a knot until we figured out how to get out from under it. But it was a bumpy ride, I tell you. We flew about 6, 7 feet. When we landed, we were just tied up in a knot. And speaking of that hood for the car, now that there was a ride too. There. Speaking of that hood, we used to go down. We could jump off of that pond about, I don't know, on the hood we'd pile people on there. We'd have 7 people piled up on top of each other going down that hill, and you'd hit that pond and you'd shoot about 12 feet. Well, 12 feet, there was a big old log that they had dropped, and it was about 3, 4 foot around. And whenever you hit that flat back with that trunk, and you being the small guy, so you're on the bottom, ouch. You got a lot of weight coming down on top of you, and well, I was one of the small guys, so I was on the bottom, and boom, everybody landing on you, and you're on that hard metal hood. Not a fun feeling, not at all. Anyway, shoot. Sorry about that. Had an itchy nose. Ugh. Gonna try to sit up here. There we go. How's that? Sitting up a little bit. Gonna turn a little bit. Whoa. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Now we got all turned, we got all setting up, and we need a drink of water. Anywho, so that was a good time sled riding. Then we'd go over to McNair Park, and we'd all sit on at the top of the hill. We'd start a fire in the barrel, one of the trash barrels. We'd start a big old fire in there, and we'd all stand up there warming up by the fire, and then we'd do our sled riding. Well, I'll tell you what, if you had the right kind of sled, you'd hit the bottom of that hill, and you would just shoot right on across the baseball field and or soccer field later on, and there was a creek over there. And if you had the right kind of sled, you better be careful, because you might end up going right off the edge over there and right into the creek. Boy, I'm telling you, cold water. Now, it was usually covered with ice by that time, but still, if you'd have broke through, burr, boy, I'm telling you, burr. Love that creek. That was a good creek. One year, that creek was all filled up with flood water, because it was Coal Creek, the name of it, Coal Creek. And, well, it had backed up with floodwaters from down on the Mississippi River. Well, backed up to the Dardine Creek, and then the Dardine Creek backed her on up to Coal Creek. Is that right? Now, it might have made it all the way out to the Mississippi by itself. But either way, it had backed up. No, I'm pretty sure at Dardine Creek. It ran into the Dardine Creek. But anyway, it had backed up, and so it was flooded, and there was about 4 or 5 railroad ties strapped together, and they made like the perfect raft. Well, we were in that raft. We were on top of that raft, and we had poles and everything, and we was moving right along. But we used to use that raft for catching crawdads. You know what a crawdad is, don't you? It's one of them little pinchy fish. It looks like a lobster, only it's a much smaller version. Well, some folks call them crawdads, some of them call them crayfish, but we in St. Charles call them crawdads. Anyway, we'd get down there in that cold creek and we'd be fishing, or we'd be catching up all. We'd just get off the raft and stand there in the water, and you have to be very careful catching them things because you wanted to catch them right in the haunch of the back so you didn't get no pinch from the pincher. But those things could swim backwards really quick. I mean, really quick. But we'd take whole pillowcases, and we'd take pillowcases down there, and we'd just load them bad boys up. Now, not knowing at the time that we could have sold them to the bait store and got quite a bit of money for the bait, but it actually turned out that we just ended up barreling them and eating them. Yes, sir. But we didn't barrel them and eat them the way them Cajun folks do. Ick. They tear them in half, suck the juice out of the upper part of the body, and then they eat the tail. Well, no, because I know what them things has been eaten on, and that there's road runoff, Cold Creek for the most part. It's road runoff, so ick. Anyway, also there at Cold Creek there was a road. The Drosty Road ran across Cold Creek, and there was like a tunnel under the road so the creek could run through the side. So it was like a bridge, basically. And anyway, you could find bicycles under there all the time because, well, some folks around the neighborhood, not my neighborhood per se, but the area would steal bicycles. Them thefts, boy, I tell you, people of all kinds. Anyway, thieving upon people taking their bicycles. Well, there were some cool frames down there at times, so it had already been stoled. It wasn't like I knew who it belonged to or anything. And so we would take them and we'd build bicycles out of them. We'd make us some pretty Jim Dandy looking bicycles. Free of charge. All we had to do was have the extra parts at home, which we did. Naturally, we all collected bicycle parts. I had probably 30 frames and a bucket of bicycle cranks and innards for the back wheels and bearings for the front wheels and spokes and whatever you needed to repair a bicycle at the time. I had them parts till somebody swiped them. I remember that. A couple of friends of mine came over and swiped my parts. Ended up selling them to a bicycle shop feller, guy that used to repair bicycles at his house. It wasn't really a shop, but he would get bicycles and fix them up and then resell them. Well, I found out that my bicycles was over there because, well, I stopped by there one time and he said, no, I got that from some boys that live up the road from me here. Well, them boys that lived up the road from him there was two of my friends that came over to my house and stole my parts. Rode them off for quite a while, but then I ran into one of them again later, and, well, we kind of made friends again, so, I'm a bygones be bygones kind of guy because, well, if you go around through your life carrying a grudge, you know what's going to happen? It's going to get pretty heavy. And that grudge is going to be a drudge. And the drudge is going to be hard to drag. And so, therefore, no way. Count me out. Anyway, hey, you know what, friends? It's time to go. So, goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. Yes, goodbye, my friends, it's time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must go. Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Well, this is Shenandoah Briscoe saying hello and how are you? You know, God loves you and so do I. So be blessed in Jesus' name. Come back and see me tomorrow because, well, I'll be here and I hope you are too.